Mastering Yu-Gi-Oh! Stun Decks Guide, History and Analysis and Summary. Master the art of controlling your opponent's every move while crushing their strategy with relentless pressure. Stun decks represent one of the most strategic and punishing playstyles in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Unlike aggressive beatdown or combo strategies, stun decks focus on disrupting the opponent's core game plan by limiting their actions, negating effects, and preventing key plays. This unique approach allows players to dictate the pace of the duel, creating an unfavorable board state that gradually suffocates the opponent's resources and options until victory is secured. Chapter 1. What are stun decks? Stun decks are specialized anti-meta strategies designed to punish opponents for playing their cards, especially summoning monsters or activating effects. These decks create an oppressive field presence that forces opponents into impossible situations while maintaining aggressive pressure. Strategy number 1. Anti-meta philosophy. Stun decks target the core mechanics of popular strategies, making them struggle to execute their game plan. By restricting key plays, you force opponents out of their comfort zone. Strategy number 2. Aggressive control. Unlike stall decks that play defensively, stun decks aggressively beat down opponents while restricting their plays. You're not just surviving, you're dominating. Strategy number 3. Floodgate Foundation. These decks rely heavily on Floodgate cards, continuous effects that severely limit opponent actions without fully locking them out, keeping the game legal while tilting advantage heavily in your favor. The stun versus stall versus control debate. Understanding the differences between these playstyles is crucial for mastering competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Each approach has distinct goals, card selections, and win conditions that define their strategic identity. Stun strategy punishes opponents' plays with floodgates while maintaining aggressive pressure. Wins by beatdown or forcing concession when opponents can't execute their combos. Note: active disruption of opponent game plan. Note: moderate beatdown monsters. Note: forces opponent into suboptimal plays. Stall strategy delays opponent to win via alternate conditions like burn damage or deck out. Focuses purely on survival rather than board control. Note: defensive cards and life point recovery. Note: win through attrition or alternate conditions. Note: minimal offensive pressure. Control strategy trades resources strategically to outvalue opponent over time. Uses card advantage loops and disruption at key moments. Note: resource management focus. Note: reactive disruption timing. Note: gradual advantage accumulation. Stun decks uniquely blend aggressive control with floodgate lockdowns, creating a hybrid strategy that's both proactive and restrictive. They don't wait for opponents to make moves, they force the opponent's hand while limiting their options. Chapter 2. The Origins and Evolution of Stun Decks. Stun strategies have evolved dramatically throughout Yu-Gi-Oh!'s competitive history, adapting to new mechanics and power creep while maintaining their core philosophy of restriction and control. Early era, Wanghu Burden Stun. The original anti-swarm strategy utilizing King Tiger Wanghu, combined with Burden of the Mighty, to systematically weaken and destroy opponent monsters. This era established the foundation of using continuous effects to punish summons. Mid-era, Light and Darkness Dragon Control. The emergence of Light and Darkness Dragon brought a new dimension to stun strategies. This powerful boss monster controlled the entire field by negating effects, forcing opponents to expend multiple resources just to clear the board. Modern era, Fairy Stun Dominance. Fairy-type monsters like Archlord Christia revolutionized stun by completely blocking special summons. Combined with Thunder King Ryo and Jaugen the Spiritualist, these decks created near-impossible scenarios for special summon-dependent strategies. Wanghu Burden Stun, the classic anti-swarm. This historic deck archetype defined early competitive anti-meta play by systematically dismantling swarm strategies that relied on summoning multiple weak monsters to establish board presence. Core strategy: King Tiger Wanghu served as the centerpiece, automatically destroying monsters with 1400 or less ATK when summoned. Burden of the Mighty reduced opponent monster ATK by 100 for each level, pushing more monsters into Wanghu's destruction range. The deck combined summon negation cards like Solemn Warning with powerful removal options like Dimensional Prison to create multiple layers of disruption. Aggressive beatdown monsters capitalized on the cleared field. Target matchups. Note: devastating against Blackwings and other swarm decks. Note: punished low ATK combo enablers. Note: forced opponents into simplified game states. Note: controlled tempo through attrition. Light and Darkness Dragon Stun, Field Control Powerhouse. Part 1. Absolute Field Dominance. Light and Darkness Dragon, LAD, represented one of the most oppressive control monsters ever printed. By negating and destroying any card effect activated by either player, it forced opponents into impossible resource trades. Part 2. Resource Drain Engine. Opponents needed to expend multiple cards just to remove LAD from the field. Each negation made it weaker but maintained control, creating a calculated trade that heavily favored the stun player. Part 3. Devastating Follow-up. Once LAD was finally destroyed, the stun player maintained card advantage and dealt heavy damage with remaining resources. The opponent, depleted from removing LAD, often couldn't recover in time. Fairy Stun. The Special Summon Lockdown. Fairy Stun emerged as one of the most feared anti-meta strategies by completely shutting down special summon mechanics, the backbone of most competitive decks. This strategy created an environment where opponents literally couldn't play their cards. Part 1. Archlord Christia. The ultimate floodgate monster that prevents both players from special summoning while it's face up. With 2800 ATK, it also serves as a formidable beater. Part 2. Thunder King Ryo. Negates search effects and special summons from the deck or graveyard, cutting off key plays for most meta strategies. Part 3. Jaugen the Spiritualist. Provides additional special summon negation with the option to wipe the field, creating a hostile environment for combo decks. Together, these cards formed an oppressive triple attack that choked out opponent plays at every turn, forcing them to rely solely on normal summons while the stun player maintained overwhelming field advantage. Chapter 3. Modern Stun Decks and Key Floodgates. Contemporary stun strategies have evolved to combat increasingly complex combo decks and extra deck summon mechanics. Modern builds leverage powerful floodgate monsters combined with continuous spell and trap disruption to create multi-layered lockdowns. Monster Floodgates. Note: Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo prevents all special summons from both players while face up. Note: Inspector Border negates all monster effects while opponent controls more monsters. Note: Barrier Statue series restricts summons to specific attributes. Note: Vanisher of the Radiance vanishes instead of sending to graveyard. Spell and Trap Floodgates. Note: Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos banish all cards that would go to graveyard. Note: Soul Drain negates graveyard effects and banishes activated monsters. Note: Gozen Match and Rivalry of Warlords restrict field to a single attribute type. Note: Solemn Judgment and Moon Mirror Shield protect your floodgates. The key to modern stun is layering multiple floodgates that restrict different aspects of gameplay, making it nearly impossible for opponents to find a clear path to victory. Rock Stun and Barrier Statue Variants. Part 1. Rock Stun Philosophy. Koaki Miru. Rock monsters form the backbone of this strategy, punishing opponent card activations and summon attempts. Koaki Miru Guardian destroys special summoned monsters, while Koaki Miru Wall negates spell activations. Part 2. Barrier Statue Control. Barrier statues like Barrier Statue of Torrent, Water, and Barrier Statue of Drought, Light, restrict all summons to their specific attribute, creating attribute lock scenarios that many decks simply cannot overcome. Part 3. Near Lockdown Fields. These decks create situations where opponents are forced into extremely suboptimal plays or can't play at all. The psychological pressure often leads to concessions before the game truly ends. Inspector Border Stun, the new wave. Inspector Border represents the evolution of modern stun strategies, combining effect negation with consistency tools to create a formidable first-turn lockdown that dominates best of a single duel without side decking formats. Strategy number 1. Establish Inspector Border. Get Inspector Border on the field as quickly as possible. While your opponent controls more monsters than you, all monster effects are negated, a devastating restriction against combo decks. Strategy number 2. Layer additional floodgates. Deploy continuous traps like Gozen Match, Rivalry of Warlords, or Summon Limit to create multiple restriction layers. Each floodgate addresses different aspects of opponent's strategy. Strategy number 3. Maintain card advantage. Use Pot of Desires, Pot of Extravagance, and other draw power to maintain resources. The Greed series ensures you always have protection and follow-up plays available. Strategy number 4. Protected Beatdown. Inspector Border's 2000 ATK combined with protection from Moon Mirror Shield, or Forbidden Lance, allows safe attacks while opponents struggle with restricted plays. This strategy has proven especially effective in Master Duel's best of a single duel without side decking format, where opponents can't side deck anti-floodgate tools and must face the full brunt of the lockdown unprepared. Strengths and weaknesses of stun decks. Understanding when to deploy stun strategies and recognizing their limitations is crucial for competitive success. These decks excel in specific scenarios but struggle against certain matchups and formats. Core strengths. Strength number 1. Game plan disruption. Punish opponents for attempting to execute their core strategy, forcing them completely off their practiced lines of play. Strength number 2. Attrition victories. Win through psychological pressure and resource drain. Many opponents concede when they realize they can't play through your restrictions. Strength number 3. First turn dominance. Effective first turn lockdown in best of a single duel without side decking formats where opponents can't prepare counter strategies through side decking. Notable weaknesses. Weakness number 1. Going second struggles. Difficulty breaking established boards when going second. Stun decks rely on setting up first, not dismantling opponent setups. Weakness number 2. Anti-floodgate strategies. Vulnerable to decks that don't rely on special summons like Floodgates or alternate win conditions like burn and mill strategies. Weakness number 3. Side deck vulnerability. In match play, experienced opponents can side deck specific countercards like Twin Twisters, Harpy's Feather Duster, or Red Reboot to dismantle your strategy. Key cards to know in stun decks. Mastering stun requires intimate knowledge of the Floodgate card pool. These cards form the foundation of every competitive stun strategy, each serving a specific purpose in the overall lockdown. Essential monsters. Note: King Tiger Wanghu destroys monsters with 1400 or less ATK when summoned. Note: Light and Darkness Dragon negates all card effects at the cost of stats. Note: Archlord Christia prevents all special summons. Note: Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo blocks special summons while face up. Note: Inspector Border negates monster effects when outnumbered. Note: Thunder King Ryo stops searching in graveyard special summons. Critical spells and traps. Note: Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos banish instead of graveyard. Note: Soul Drain negates graveyard effects completely. Note: Gozen Match restricts field to a single attribute. Note: Rivalry of Warlords restricts field to a single type. Note: Solemn Judgment ultimate protection negation. Note: Moon Mirror Shield protects your monsters in battle. Extra deck tools. Note: Rank 4 XYZ monsters, Castell, Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon. Note: Generic Link monsters, Nightmare Phoenix, Underworld Goddess. Note: Utility Synchros, situational but powerful removal options. How to play and build a stun deck. Successfully piloting a stun deck requires strategic thinking, proper sequencing, and understanding when to commit resources. Follow these principles to maximize your lockdown potential. Early floodgate establishment. Your primary goal is establishing floodgates as quickly as possible, ideally on your first turn. Prioritize the floodgates that hurt your opponent's specific strategy most, attribute locks against mono-attribute decks, special summon restrictions against combo decks. Aggressive beatdown pressure. Don't just sit behind floodgates, press your advantage with beatdown monsters. Your opponent's limited options make even moderate ATK monsters dangerous threats. Apply pressure to force mistakes and endgames quickly. Protect your investment. Floodgates are meaningless if they're immediately removed. Hold negation cards like Solemn Judgment or Dark Bribe to protect your key floodgates. Consider the order of floodgate deployment, sometimes holding back is safer than overextending. Side deck strategy. In match play, side deck text to counter meta threats and anti-stun strategies. Include answers to back row removal, spell-based strategies, and non-special summon decks like Floodgates that ignore your floodgates. Pro tip: learn to read your opponent's deck archetype from their first few plays. This allows you to prioritize the most relevant floodgates and maximize disruption efficiency. The future of stun decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Despite power creep and increasingly complex combo strategies, stun decks continue to evolve and find competitive relevance. Their anti-meta philosophy ensures they'll always have a place in the competitive ecosystem. Digital format dominance. Despite power creep and increasingly complex combo strategies, stun decks continue to evolve and find competitive relevance. Their anti-meta philosophy ensures they'll always have a place in the competitive ecosystem. Innovation and adaptation. New Floodgate cards and creative synergies with emerging archetypes keep stun strategies fresh. Each new set potentially introduces tools that strengthen lockdown potential. Meta counter role. When specific strategies dominate competitive play, stun decks emerge as natural predators. Meta shifts may favor stun as the go-to anti-meta counter when combo decks become too prevalent. Summary. Why stun decks dominate the anti-meta scene. Hybrid strategy excellence. Stun strategies represent the perfect fusion of control and aggression, creating a unique playstyle that rewards strategic thinking, meticulous planning, and psychological warfare. Their enduring success stems from fundamental strengths that transcend meta shifts. Comprehensive Floodgate Toolbox. The extensive catalog of Floodgate cards allows stun players to target virtually any mechanic or strategy. From special summon restrictions to graveyard disruption to attribute locks, there's a Floodgate for every situation. Psychological advantage. Few strategies create the frustration and pressure of a well-executed stun lockdown. Opponents unable to execute their practiced combos often make mistakes or concede prematurely, granting victories before the game truly ends. Strategic depth. Mastering stun means mastering control, patience, and timing, the fundamental keys to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Success requires understanding opponent strategies, proper sequencing, resource management, and knowing when to commit or hold back. While not invincible, stun decks' adaptability and strategic depth ensure their continued relevance in competitive play. They punish greed, reward preparation, and demand respect from every opponent who faces their oppressive lockdowns.